I also spent a lot of time reading Carl Jung, and it was through Jung and also Jean Piaget, who's a developmental psychologist, that I started to understand that our articulated systems of thought are embedded in something like a dream, and that dream is informed in a complex way by the way we act. So, we act out things we don't understand all the time. And if that wasn't the case, then we wouldn't need a psychology or a sociology or an anthropology or any of that, because we would be completely transparent to ourselves. And we're clearly not. So we're much more complicated than we understand, which means that the way that we behave contains way more information than we know. And part of the dream that surrounds our articulated knowledge is being extracted as a consequence of us watching each other behave and telling stories about it for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, extracting out patterns of behavior that characterize humanity.
One of the things that's really weird about dreams, and almost impossibly weird, is that you're an observer in the dream. It's like a dream is something that happens to you. Well, you're dreaming it, theoretically, so how is it that you can be an observer? It's almost like you're watching a video game or a movie, but you're producing it, at least in principle, although the psychoanalysts would say, well, no, not exactly. Your ego isn't producing it, your unconscious is producing it. It's a different thing. It's a different thing. And of course, Jung would say, well, it's deeper than that. The collective unconscious might be producing it. It's, in some sense, it isn't you exactly, or it isn't the you that you think of when you think of you. And that's the ego from the Freudian perspective, the you that you identify with. That's the ego. And outside of that is the unconscious, the id. That's more the place of impulses, and you could think about those as the biological subsystems that can derail your thinking. These are very, very old things, and the idea that you're in control of them is, well, you're not exactly in control of them.
I mean, what happens when you're dreaming, there's a little switch, so to speak, in your brain that shuts off when you're dreaming, and it stops you from moving, right? It shuts everything off except your eyes. But what seems to be happening at night is that you're running the underlying architecture of your cognitive ability in different simulations. And it's cost-free because you're paralyzed. You're not running around there out in the world investigating. So it's part of the manner in which your brain experiments with the way the world can be represented. And it seems absolutely necessary. And I mean, if you deprive people of REM sleep, they don't stay sane very long. There's something necessary about the dreaming process to maintenance of articulated sanity. So you're doing some kind of organization at night when you descend into that chaos, and it's your mind is experimenting with the underlying categorical structure of imagination and trying to update your mode of being in the world.
I had a dream once. I was in the cemetery of an old church, an old cathedral, surrounded by the graves, and there were indentations in the grounds where all the graves were, and all of a sudden the graves started to open, and it was a graveyard where great people, great men of the past had been buried, and so grave opened and an armed king stood up, and then another grave opened and another armed king stood up, and this happened all around me, and these were very formidable figures, right? They were the great heroes of the past, and after a number of them appeared on the scene, they looked around and saw each other, and being warrior types, they immediately started to fight. And the question is, what stops the great kings of the past from fighting? And
biblical meaning of dreams. Have you ever had a dream that left you wondering what it meant? Dreams can be mysterious, but did you know that they have a deep meaning in the Bible? In the Bible, dreams were often used by God to communicate with people. For example, Joseph in the book of Genesis had the ability to interpret dreams and help Pharaoh understand the meaning of his dream. Similarly, Daniel in the book of Daniel interpreted King Nebuchadnezzar's dream and revealed the future of the Babylonian Empire. So, if you have a dream that you're unsure about, pray to God for guidance and ask Him to reveal its meaning to you. You can also look to the Bible for guidance on dream interpretation, as there are many examples of dreams and their meanings throughout its pages. Remember, dreams can be a powerful tool for God to communicate with us, so don't be afraid to seek His wisdom and understanding.